was a holy man who preached to the people in the village, and he had large crowds that came to hear him. And unfortunately, every time he spoke, there was a heckler in the group that began to say things during his talk and heckle him and say that he wasn't telling the truth. And it quite annoyed all of the people that were around him. And then one day, the heckler died. And when the people gathered the next day to hear the holy man, they were in such a great mood and laughing and raising their hands in joy. And they said, "You must be so happy, Master." And when they looked at the Master, tears were streaming down his cheeks. Happy? This was the only friend I had. This is the only person who challenged me in my life. And now this person is gone. Interesting story, powerful story. And sometimes we don't understand that the pain and suffering in our lives is the biggest blessing in our lives. In the gospel story, it's a very interesting dialogue between Jesus and Peter. When Peter declared that Jesus was the Messiah, then Jesus began to speak about his going to Jerusalem. And when he went to Jerusalem, there was going to be a lot of suffering, and eventually he would be put to death. And Peter drew him aside and he said, "God forbid that this should happen." And the famous rebuke, "Get behind me, Satan," he said to Peter. But we can understand what Peter was saying, right? We don't want this to happen. We don't want suffering and death to happen to the people that we love. But it's often the suffering in our life that makes us the people who we are. There's a couple of different kinds of suffering. A lot of the suffering that we experience in our lives is self-induced, right? If we have an illness or a sickness that comes from eating too much or drinking too much or smoking too much or being angry all the time, those are self-induced kind of sufferings. But many of the sufferings just come in our lives. And we have to understand what is the nature of this suffering and what we can do about the suffering. When our granddaughter Jill was baptized, I forget which prayer they chose to read, but it's basically we asked that God would bless her richly and keep her from all suffering. I think we should scratch that part out, right? We don't want our loved ones to have any suffering in their lives, but it is suffering that brings us to become the greatest people that we can be. Suffering brings us closer to God. Suffering turns us to God. And yet we spend most of our time and energy in our lives trying to flee from suffering. We try to make sure that our children are in such a safe environment that they never have to suffer either. Is that the best thing? I say now that the two best things that have happened to me, I didn't say it at the time, was my depression. That was many, many years ago, and I've had a couple of bouts since. But when I was 25, that's almost 50 years ago. But it motivated me to change some things in my life, to understand what depression is. And it helped me to understand what so many people are experiencing, depression and anxiety, and to show them that we can rise from this to a greater place. And then a little over 18 months ago, I had sciatica that knocked me flat on my back. I couldn't get up off the floor for 11 days. Wondering where this came from and why must I endure this pain. And now, all these months later, I am in a better place. It motivated me to work and do things. I do yoga 3 times a day, and I'm highly motivated to be stronger and to be a better person. But if we never have this suffering in our lives, we never receive the motivation to work and to strive. So let's not look at suffering as some punishment from God. In the Old Testament and in the readings that we read today, this is how people viewed it. If there was suffering and pain, God was punishing you. My brother turned 74 today. When I was 5 and he was 6 and I was sick, he said, God is punishing you for the bad things that you've done. And this is how I grew up in my life, thinking that this is what God would do. This isn't God punishing us. This is God presenting challenges to us. And right now in our world, there is a great deal of suffering. Jens spoke about it in his little talk this morning. And there are so many people in our country who are living paycheck to paycheck, afraid of losing their jobs. There are so many people who are wondering where their next meal is going to come from. This is not God punishing us. This is God presenting an opportunity for us. An opportunity for us to step up. All the refugees in the world is not a punishment upon these people. It's an opportunity for those of us who have so much to step up and do the right thing and bring these people here and offer them a better life than what they're going to have where they are. We can do it. We can meet these challenges. The first thing to do is don't look upon this as a sign of retribution or punishment. This is an opportunity. And to also know in Jeremiah talked about his suffering and wondering why he was having it. And God said to him, I am with you to save you and deliver you. I will deliver you out of the hands of the wicked and redeem you from the grasp of the ruthless. In the depths of our suffering, in the depths of our sadness or depression, we must not despair. God is with us. God will give us the strength to endure, and we will be stronger for it. Amen.
Your mercies, Lord, and be is thy faithfulness, O Lord. Great is thy faithfulness.
Go in peace, serve the Lord.
Thanks be to God.